Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Talk Conversation Series, a peer knowledge resource by the CXOs for the CXOs. Now to our host, Kanika Goswami.
We have engaging conversations in this podcast with global thought leaders and industry experts. They reach over 1.3 million business leaders worldwide. Today we are speaking with Carey Hudgens. He's the Managing Director for Email Security and Digital Risk Protection at Fortra. And with him, we also have the Head of Products and Digital Risk Protection at Fortra, Mike Jones. Welcome to the podcast, Mike and Carey. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure. So a bit of introduction about both the experts we have today. Carey, who's the MD for Fortra's Digital Risk and Email Protection Business Unit, joined Fortra in 2021 when the company acquired Fish Labs. Most recently, he served as a Director of Product Management for Fish Labs, Agari, and ClearSwift, where he oversaw the product teams and was responsible for leading product strategies. Carey holds a BS in Management Information Systems from Wake Forest University. A little bit about Mike. He's a Senior Director of Product Management at Fortra, and he's responsible for the strategy, roadmap, and feature definitions of the company. He's worked in email security for over 2 decades and participated in the founding of the DMARC.org working group, where he helped draft the first release of the DMARC specifications, and as a co-chair of the Online Trust Alliance Email Security Committee. He joined Fortra in June 2021 too, when the company acquired Agari. Prior to Agari, Mike was Technical Director of Anti-Spam Operations at AOL and served on the Board of Directors for Messaging Anti-Abuse Working Group. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering from the University of Arizona and a Master of Science degree in Management Information Technology from the University of Virginia. We have some heavy degrees here. What we are talking here today is going to be a little more on the ground working of technology experts. So, would you like to tell us a little more about Fortra than we already keep reading?
Yeah, happy to. So here at Fortra, we're a portfolio of cybersecurity solutions, and we bring these solutions together on the Fortra platform. Our goal being that in vision for Fortra is for us to create a stronger, simpler future for cybersecurity. And we're doing this by enabling organizations and our customers to increase security maturity by decreasing operational burden. So one of the things that we've seen across cybersecurity is just the myriad of tools, the complexity of tools. And our goal here is to simplify that. We are finding threats and mitigating threats on a daily basis here at Fortra. Our goal is to provide our customers with protected outcomes. So we want to find threats, we want to mitigate those threats, and create a safer space for our customers. That's the goal here at Fortra, and that's what we're doing each and every day.
That's great to know. So how has the cloud, you think, so this is the first question that I'm starting with, how has the cloud impacted the evolution of cybersecurity measures for, across the board?
Yeah, so I can maybe jump in here and start with the cloud. I think that's an interesting question, because I think one of the things I often see is a company moves to the cloud and they all of a sudden have the assumption that all risks are solved, or at least all my risks are reduced. And I think while going to the cloud helps on a lot of levels, there are new challenges that are presented with moving to the cloud as well. So positives are things like being able to scale dynamically, right? And over time, as a customer implements the cloud and they get more mature with the implementation, they can reduce operational cost over time. From a security perspective, the cloud can help with protecting the underlying infrastructure. But one of the things that not everyone thinks about when they move to the cloud are the new challenges that exist, or challenges that exist today that will continue to exist. And so, a couple examples are, threat vectors like email. Those aren't going to go away. The vulnerability of email and the risk with email is not going to go away with the move to the cloud. So that type of thing will continue. And then new challenges will emerge with the move to the cloud that companies just need to be aware of and be ready to take on those challenges. And these are things like having to have a different expertise with identity and access management controls. Data is more readily available in the cloud, and so often those skill sets can be a little bit different with how they operate in the cloud. So companies just need to be aware of that, and that the new challenges that it might take on. Mike, I don't know if you've got any other thoughts there.
Yeah, so I think the vision of the cloud to reduce operational and management overhead, like saving costs, freeing up resources for higher value operations, I think has largely come true for most organizations. And another impact in cybersecurity is the barrier to entry for new and innovative solutions is lower with cloud computing, I think. So you see a very robust cybersecurity vendor market out there driving competition and innovation. So I think those are all good things, but there are definitely some new challenges. One thing I would point out, and we see this very much over the last decade in email as a shift, is that cloud computing is not limited to legitimate businesses. It's also available to the criminals. So, and the cloud computing platforms do their best to keep the criminals off their platforms, but it's impossible to stop that entirely. So in email security, this is a challenge, and it's been a major shift because the rise of the abuse of legitimate cloud services to send malicious emails, or to use a cloud service to send email with malicious payload that's hosted at a cloud service. I mean, that's really been a shift in email security over the last decade or so, and it has changed the way that we look at email security and think about email security. I would say in most of our customer environments, where we help them, we're very in tune with who their third-party senders are, because we help them implement email authentication, and then we're also protecting their inbound email. The vast majority of the legitimate email that we see today being sent and received is not coming from private servers anymore. It's coming from cloud-hosted third-party servers, and then the criminals use that to try to abuse those same services to mask their identity, essentially, and they basically piggyback off the good reputation of those legitimate services. So that's been a huge change in email security with the cloud.
One other quick tidbit I'll add, and then we can maybe move on, is, some services, some products are only available in certain environments, right? Maybe only available on-prem, or maybe only available on the cloud. So that can kind of force clients to adopt certain products or others. And that's one of the things here at Fortune Email Security, where we try to offer, wherever a client may be in their journey, we can either offer on-prem or we can offer cloud-based services.
So essentially, there's both positive and negative impacts from the use of the cloud, which is what I think is applicable to most technologies. The use of AI for security is positive as well as negative. Right? Absolutely. So, what are the common challenges that organizations face, in your knowledge, when they're adopting new cybersecurity technologies, and how do you think they can overcome them using whatever latest tools that Fortra or any other brand is developing?
Yeah, information overload is definitely a big problem with cybersecurity today for most enterprises. Most security teams just have too much to deal with and not enough people with the expertise to do it. So they have too many products producing too much data with too many alerts, too many attackers, even security news. There's so much security news out there to try to keep up with as a security professional. It's pretty overwhelming. So, organizations want to have products to deal with that information overload, to consolidate information and give them a concise and efficient picture of what's happening. But then again, if an organization implements a consolidation product poorly, that just adds to the overload, really. So it has to be done in a way that actually you get that effect of consolidation. So organizations need to focus on smart consolidation. Carrie mentioned earlier our goal at Fortra of providing a platform that does that for enterprises and helps them with that information overload. I think there's also some promise that AI will help solve or alleviate the information overload going forward as well. I think we're seeing that some now, but we also, unfortunately, the buzz about AI is a little bit ahead of the actual impact of AI so far. It's progressing, but that adds to some of the noise as well. All the buzz about AI and cybersecurity right now as well. So, but I think that does have promise going forward, and we're starting to see that in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I think similar to what, kind of echoing some of Mike's thoughts. I mean, vendor sprawl, which kind of ties to what Mike just went through, is a huge challenge. This is something we hear more and more and more from our customers. I mean, I think on average, customers use something like 50 tools, 50 different cybersecurity products or tools. And some of our biggest customers, enterprise size customers, might use 100, 150 different products. And that means, different UIs for each product, different APIs to support. And so having a team just to be able to successfully use those tools, implement them, and support those is really, really challenging. A few suggestions I always make is, one, partner with a company that's going to focus on telling you what you should be concerned about. So there's often vendors that will kind of just give a fire hose of data and, kind of tout quantity versus quality. And so I think partnering with a company that's going to share quality data that is relevant to, to your use cases is very, very important. And then also, resources are hard to find today. So if you don't have enough resources in your SOC, that's an area where Fortune can come in and actually help through some of our managed services. So, our vision as a company, and Mike alluded to it again, is the platform. So we want to simplify, we want to consolidate, we want to bring and offer a myriad of different solutions and products to customers, so they don't have to go out and try to manage all the different vendors on their own. So that's really our goal, is to simplify operational burden.
So I want to just bring up something that Mike said when he was speaking, when we spoke about AI and their tools and whether we are getting ahead of ourselves. What role do you think AI plays in controlling data sprawl here? I'm sure this is a question which I've not asked you earlier, but I'm sure you have an opinion on this. So is it really a hype, or is it actually on ground happening? Are AI tools able to control situations and challenges like data sprawl or unstructured data or unclean data, which is, I think, going to be the final requirement?
I think it's a mix of both right now. I think we're in the phase. I feel like this is true anytime there's some new technology. The hype always leads the actual on the ground benefits. Like we talked about cloud computing. If you go back 10 to 15 years ago, the hype was around cloud computing. But if you looked at most organizations, were they really mostly in the cloud yet? No, they weren't. But the hype was all about the cloud. But then the reality catches up to the hype, and you do start realizing those benefits. So I think with AI, we're still not in the beginning stages, but we're still in the early stages of realizing all of the benefits of AI that are promised. But we'll get there. Like, that is going to continue. That train is not going to slow down over the next years.
And we're getting a lot of value today with AI in our email security stack. And kind of one of the ways I look at it is, there are known threats and there are unknown threats. And so for known threats, you don't really need AI. So that's things like we can use indicators to detect and enforce threats. So if we know about a bad URL, or we know about a bad attachment, or we know about an email address, that's pretty straightforward. We don't really need AI to do that, or ML. But it still provides tremendous value, right? So if we can go and find malicious URLs and take action on those, there's a lot of value. I think where we see AI and ML really come into play is with kind of more of the unknown threats. And so these are threats that, maybe they're not known today, but we can use AI to come in and kind of key off of attributes, intent of the message, and do that at scale to make a call if something's suspicious or maybe even malicious based off of, looking and analyzing all those attributes of the threat. So I think that's where we're seeing some value on our side come into play and, be successful with detecting malicious threats.
Right. So you are both experts in email protection, email risk and its mitigation. So what is the role of email protection in business resilience, you think? And of course, after considering that they are the initial vector in many cyber attacks in many organizations for various reasons, which also includes human oversight or a lack of awareness or lack of training or whatever. But emails are usually the first entry point. What is the role of email protection to keep your businesses secure? And how do you propose to do it?
Sure. So Mike, I can take a stab at that one. So, email is the heartbeat, right, of businesses. Businesses run and operate by email. So if email can't be trusted, or if email is problematic, that can bring, a company to its knees. So having good protection of one of your key, business needs is one of the kind of the most fundamental things that you need as far as cybersecurity. So, if that's vulnerable, or if it can be risky, operations can basically come to a stop. We've seen, reputational damage happen because of this. We've seen financial damage. I mean, if you go back a few years, Google and Facebook lost, $100 million from spear phishing attacks and in the use of fake invoices. So the goal with email protection is to prevent that, prevent employees from receiving, prevent employees from interacting with those suspicious messages, and enable your business to run smoothly without financial losses, without reputational losses. And this is done, by being layered, right? There's not a single tool that can be implemented that's going to provide you that resilience. It's coming about it in a layered approach, and that might be things like implementing DMARC or training your employees so that they have the ability to recognize and report emails. And then back to kind of that AI ML discussion, being able to detect those known threats, being able to detect those unknown, more complex threats. So taking that layered approach to make sure that, your email does not get disrupted. That's key for businesses these days.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I may be biased because I've worked most of my career in email security, but I think an organization protecting their email is the most important security initiative they can do. I mean, email is the business tool that we're using every day, and I always like to think about, why do the criminals love to target email so much still, even with all the other platforms out there that they could be abusing, which they are abusing those as well. But email abuse is not going away. And it's for some of the same reasons that businesses and marketers still love email today. It's like email is ubiquitous in business. It's everywhere. And it's extremely interoperable. Like I can send an email. It doesn't really matter whether I'm using a web client, a desktop client, Outlook, Google, Yahoo. I can send an email today to a number of users, and I don't care what they're using either. It's so highly interoperable. You just expect it to work. It's relatively cheap to send out a lot of email, and you're going to reach a wide variety of targets. So that's why businesses use it. That's why marketers love it, and that's why the criminals love it too. So none of those things about email are really going to change. And so despite hearing about the death of email over the years, like in business at least, that hasn't happened, and I don't think it will. So if you're not protecting email, then you're going to regret it at some point.
Right. And so what do you feel are the advantages of using comprehensive email protection by integrating solutions with operating platforms, as such, like maybe even a Microsoft platform or any other platform? Are there advantages in comprehensive?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So platforms like Microsoft, they offer a wide range of security tools, but a lot of times those tools don't satisfy what an organization needs as far as depth of capabilities in specific areas. And with Microsoft specifically, I mean, Microsoft M365 is the dominant cloud email platform out there. But talking to our customers all the time who are using that, they have needs that they just don't feel they can satisfy with the depth of protection in the native Microsoft security suite. So having another tool that can integrate with Microsoft that can provide that depth of email security is critically important to most organizations. And the nice thing about the Microsoft platform and other cloud platforms is that they do offer APIs and configurations that allow easy integrations for third-party solutions to step in and provide that extra layer in their customer organizations as well.
Yeah, for email security, our vision has always been to work hand in hand with Microsoft to complement their capabilities, add value, kind of above and beyond what Microsoft does. And Mike's last point about integrations, being able to integrate with Microsoft, that's going to speed onboarding time. That's also going to enable us to provide faster, speed to value for our customers. And then just in general, this approach will kind of go back and support that layered approach I just talked to. So we're not looking to displace Microsoft. We're looking to work with them, and we're doing that today. That's what we're doing today in many capacities. So Microsoft might do a great job detecting, 60, 70, 80% of threats. And then our goal is to augment that, right? So we can cover more complex threats. We can layer ourselves on and find, those more complex threats, and sometimes those more complex threats can be the more impactful threats. But we can cover that close that gap and provide that additional, layer of protection for our customer base.
But right on today's date, if that is becoming a bit of a challenge across the globe. I hear there is a huge outage with all your Microsoft machines. A lot of people in our office are also not able to work. Fortunately, I was. So what advantages do you see in the integration of artificial intelligence and data sciences also with email protection for advanced threat detection and mitigation?
Yeah. So earlier you asked about what I thought about AI as far as the where we're at as far as the true capabilities versus the buzz, and I said we're still early there, and I stand by that. I believe that's true. But that said, AI and ML modeling of email, it has become the core of modern email security, especially in email security where you're enhancing a cloud service and integrating with a cloud service, that type of email security. You need to have effective AI and ML in those solutions. It brings capabilities for predictive analysis to email instead of just the reactive piece. So it allows your security stack to identify new and risky problems that aren't possible if you just rely on standard rules and known indicators. And like I said earlier, talking about how cloud has complicated email security, AI helps kind of weed through some of that complexity in the way email is sent today. So I don't know if I said earlier, I've been in email security for a long time. In the old days, there was a lot of whack-a-mole in email. The bad guys do one thing, you whack them on the head, they pop up somewhere else doing something else, you whack them on the head again, right? So that's where we're going with AI and ML, is trying to reduce the reliance on the whack-a-mole type of email security and rather being able to predict what's happening as it's happening. And all of that said, it doesn't obviate the need for the traditional rules and indicators, as Carrie said earlier. To have a true comprehensive email stack, you need to that's very effective in certain situations, and you need those to work together. You need your AI and ML predictive capabilities to work with your traditional indicator reactive capabilities.
Carrie, you want to add something to it?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is just how it can help with scale. And so just going back to being able to analyze attributes, being able to analyze, behaviors and heuristics, and doing that at scale is where, really AI can play a part. And so that's typically more on that kind of unknown threats, the things that we don't know about or just haven't been confirmed yet, and being able to play a part on that front.
Right. So as Mike was saying, instead of whack-a-mole, maybe a little more predictive, preemptive, being ready for what is coming, or identifying things before they get really out of hand. That's the kind of thing you can expect an AI tool to help you with.
Absolutely.
So with that, I have to thank you for your time. These are the questions I had. Unless we're missing something here and you'd like to share it with our audience, feel free.
I think that kind of closes out for me. Mike, I don't know if you have anything.
No,
that's not for me either, but thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, appreciate the time.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much, Mike. Really appreciate that you guys gave us so much of your time to share your expertise with the audience. I hope to speak to you again. Thank you so much for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. Please do follow us on social media for regular updates and new content.